All right, so very good. Now let's, where's my screen at? Okay, so let me share my screen. Kakamba, you're welcome. It's been a while. It's like the first time you're joining a Saturday session, or the second. Okay. Okay, cool. So I'm just going to share this. Okay. Um, let me share. I was actually just playing around with this. I was just trying to play around with this. But let me just, okay, I'll just share this and I'll show you what I was trying to do here. And then I will, what's this? Share, okay. Link. All right, so I think that's fine now. I'll put that here. All right, so that's the link to the collab. So this is what I was trying to do. I was just trying to play around scraping this particular site. All right, so let me just open it up. It's one of Nigeria's e-commerce sites, and I just tried to find out what happens when you request for earpods. All right, so this is it's called Jumia. Jumia is like the premier e-commerce sites in Nigeria, and you could decide to shop here, yeah, anytime you like. All right, so there's something I did not say earlier. Usually, every site has a robot policy or a scraping policy. Scraping is actually done when we use BeautifulSoup. What we're actually doing is that we're actually creating bots. All right. So we're actually creating scraping bots. And that's what this stuff will do. BeautifulSoup, Selenium, and all of that. So every website has their robot policy. It's usually hidden in this extension. Every site, any site that allows scraping always has a robot policy. So when you go to that site, www.anything.com, and you just do /robots.txt, it tells you the policy of what is expected of you, how your bot is supposed to behave. All right. So the first thing is your bot is expected to follow these rules, like it is clearly identified that it's a bot. If you mask it in some way that makes it look like it's a human agent that is doing that, but the sign is showing that it's a bot, then the site is going to block it. And then this is the maximum number of requests that you can make with your bot per minute. So it means that if we want to, for example, scrape, let me just go back to that jumia.com/earphones. If you look at this results here, I'm sorry, I'm going to scroll very fast. You'll see that we have, okay, it's not showing the end right now, but I think there are about 60 or so pages that have earbuds. So what happens is you can't make more than 200 requests per minute. And that's where that module called time comes in, because we'll have to embed that time module inside of this. So that if we want to scrape all the results that come out, all the like 60 or so pages, it will give some space, because if it makes those requests in very, very like back-to-back packets, then this stuff is going to block it. All right. But if you need to get more than 200 requests per minute, you can always hook up with these guys, the site admin, and then they would give you a special API, all right, obviously, which you're going to pay for. But if you're using the free API calls, which your web scraper does when you query the site, what it does basically is a maximum of 200. Anything that is beyond 200, it will be blocked. But this site is generous. I think it's because it's an e-commerce site. But there are some other sites that do 50, some other sites even just do 10, and some other sites don't even allow you scrape at all, depending on whether it's a private site. and whether they have unlimited bandwidth. But what I've discovered is that most e-commerce sites allow you scrape, at least within reasonable limits. So let's check the one for Walmart. All right, so walmart.com/robots.txt. So that should come up shortly. Hey, come on. Okay, let's see some other ones while we wait for Walmart. Let's see if these guys have their robots. This is another e-commerce, but very bad service in Nigeria, very bad service. Robots.txt. So let's see what they allow. Okay, so they allow practically everything apart from, let's see. Okay, they just have some particular tags that they will not allow you scrape from. So yeah, so if they see your web scraper making requests that have to do with things like connectivity, color, and stuff like that, they're going to block it from scraping. All right. So that's what this one does. There's some products that they just put limits on. I don't know why they did that. Okay. So for Walmart, I don't know why it's taking so much time to come up. All right. So that's basically what should guide the kind of bots you build, the kind of safeguards you build into them. Because when you do that, what it does, it protects you. Because if your IP is blacklisted in each of these sites that you're working with, then you probably will be in a lot of trouble, because you probably will not be able to shop again. And yeah, so that's how it works. All right, so let's go back to scraping theory. Now, so the first thing in scraping theory is that you need to know how you want to, you need to understand first the website you want to scrape, what you want to get from the site. So for example, if I want to create a bot that would scrape, I probably just going to run it as a script. All it will do is to search for the product called earphones or earbuds or whatever it is. I will just come and test it out. Let's see what it looks like. So, because every website has their own, well, not unique URL design, but I'll show you how it works shortly. So this is it now. Let me say I want to search for earbuds. All right. Watch what happens to the URL. So it's the URL automatically adds this catalog / this and a question mark and Q here to show it's a query equals to ear plus buds. Now, if I want, let me say blue phones, just check the same URL, how it arranges the query. So you notice the same thing. Everything remains constant. The only thing that changes every time you make the query is the item you're querying. All right. Let's look at some other e-commerce sites. Let's see Walmart. Okay, so I hope, okay, yeah, they've not blocked because I built something, I tried to scrape it. So when it didn't respond, I was wondering if they blocked my IP address. Okay, so this is walmart.com, that's the URL. Now let's look for earpods, okay? And then let's see. So now you can see it's the same thing, but instead of catalog, like we had in Jumia, for Walmart, we have search, but still the same query mechanism. The question query equal to ear plus pod. If we change this to blue headphones, let's see what happens. You see, same thing, every other thing remains constant. So what it means is that if I want to scrape all the results that I'm going to get now, let me just scroll down. I'm sorry, I'm scrolling very fast. You can see I have up to 25 pages here. So it means I would have to repeat this script. Okay, let's see what the URL looks like for page 2. So this is page 2. And you can see what the URL looks like when you go to page 2. It adds this and, all right? Let's even remove this. Let's see if it gives us the same query. Aha, so you can see it returns the query without all of those affinity overrides. So I told you last week that many of those things are just additions. So when we do 3, let's see whether it returns the third page. Okay, so it returns the third page here. So that means that in this case too, everything from here to this point will be constant, because the fact that I didn't show in the first page is just for semantics. If I put page 1, it's going to show me page 1. That's how all of them behave. So it means that from this point to this place is going to be fixed. Then the query will start changing from here to reflect the item, and every space in between the item will be represented by a plus sign and the ampersand with the page number. So if I want to design, obviously this is how Walmart site has been, and that's how it will be going forward, unless there is a change in the security architecture and Walmart decides to change their whole URL system. But most times it doesn't happen like that. So if I want to build a bot that would script this, I already have the way the site is built. I already have my logic on what the site will be. So what I'll do is just the for loop that would say for every site, and then be in range 1 to, in this case now, I have, I'm sorry, I'm scrolling very fast. In this case, I have 25. So I'm looking at from page 1 to page 25. I'll just do a for loop that loops through that range and then returns the HTML. So when I'm creating my requests, I would just, okay, you know what? Let me just show what I mean. So I would add code. All right. So let's start. Let me just comment this out. So this is how it works. If you remember last week, I told you that there is a module in Python called requests. And what this requests module does is that what it does is it helps you, it acts like a browser. So it acts like a client that when you send a request through it, a GET request, then it receives that packet, that HTML packet, all right, like in a bulk. So let me just send this GET request. So requests, let me run this. So let me send a GET request and let me call that my Jumia, or let me call that my Walmart page. So Walmart page equal to requests dot get, and then I will say I want to get this Walmart page. All right. So let me just put the home page first, and then we'll come back to this. So I will say get this, and then when I run this, if I tell Python to tell me the status of this Walmart page, it's already a response object. It will tell me 200, which means good to go. Go ahead and scrape, all right, within the limits that are approved. So the next thing I can do is I can decide to get the text that comes with this packet, all right? So when I run this, it will bring the whole HTML that is inside this Walmart homepage. remember, when I request, which is this .get, it brings the packet for me, and that's book packet is called a response. That's why when I try to find what kind of object is that Walmart.page, it tells me it's a response. But then I now say, okay, tell me the text that is contained in that response packet you just sent to me. So that's what I just asked for here. All right. So the moment I say, get me this text, then we're good. I already have all the HTML in this page. All right. So let me go to this other page where we have blue headphones. If I scrape this, let me go to this place, and let me call this Jumia page, and then I'll call this requests.get on the Jumia site I just got right now. So if I ask Python, tell me what kind of objects that this Jumia page is, it will tell me it's a response object. Sorry, it's a response object, and the response is you're good to go. All right. So now I can decide to say, okay, give me the texts, and in that response, you just extract all the text for me. And these are all the texts that you would find in this place where you have this query. All right. So now what I'm going to do is, probably I'm just going to call this, let me just call this my Jumia soup. All right. Oh no, let me call this Jumia. All right. Just out of names. It's called, but let me just call it Jumia equals to this. All right. Or let me call it Jumia text so that it doesn't confuse me. So Jumia text equal to this. So I'm just using this Jumia text to create a variable and assign all the results that I got from the text into this place. So this is where that module called BeautifulSoup comes in. Because what BeautifulSoup does is it takes that text that you have gotten, all of this text, and then it passes it. And like I said, passing is just analyzing and dividing it into the HTML tags so that you can now do your bot can now do its work inside of this place. So let me, sorry, just a second. Just a second. Okay, sorry. I'm so sorry. All right, so now I would import the BeautifulSoup module, the parent module that houses all of them is called BS4. So import, let me say from BS4, because BS4 is like a module that has a lot of those stuff. But the part of BS4 that I want is the BeautifulSoup class. All right, so I'm just going to take that instead of importing the whole BS4 so that it doesn't just have an imprint on my app's memory. So I'm just going to do import BeautifulSoup, which is this. All right, and as BS. I'm sorry, I wish there's something better to use as the name. Okay, or maybe we should just leave it if it messes up your mind. So I'm just going to leave that as a BeautifulSoup. And I'm going to now, okay, so this is what I'm going to do. So I'm going to call this Jumia soup, all right? Some people just like to call it soup. Well, in this case, because we have two sites here that we're scraping, I want to differentiate the soups. So I'm going to create a soup, all right, from this text here that we've received. So if you look at the parameters that are required in this class, it's first a markup, and the markup, like I told you last week, is markup HTML. That's hypertext markup language. So it's just taking this text that you have, and that's it. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to say, okay, what I want you to mark up is Jumia text. All right. So now the next thing that I'm going to do is I must tell Python what kind of parser I intend to use. All right, for this. Now, you've seen the parsers at work. There are different kind of markup languages, because if you notice here, the first parameter here is the markup language. But sadly, BeautifulSoup is not smart enough to know, okay, what kind of markup language is this that you have in Jumia text? Is it HTML? Is it LXML? Is it XML? Is it there, like, how many kinds of markup languages? All right, so we will now have to tell Python, hey, use the HTML parser, because what you have there is HTML. So this is how we do that. All right, so when we just tell Python, hey, use the HTML parser, we're good. So now when we run this, it's not defined. Oh, sorry, I have not run this. Okay, so let me run this again. Cool. So now I can now call, I can now say, okay, you know what? Why not give me this Jumia soup? All right. And let me see which, okay, let me see. Okay, let me see the text. Give me all the texts in this Jumia soup. All right. So this is it. It will bring out all the texts that are on that page. Let me just close this, that we have script. So it will just extract only the text. All right. So now let's begin our scraping adventures. All right. So now, since we have gotten this and we're fine with what we have so far, then let's begin our scraping adventures. So the first thing we might want to do is to say, okay, how about you, okay, let's say we want to get the prices. All right, I'm just looking at this now. So we want to get the prices, all right, of each of these items. There are a lot of ways we can go about that, but my usual favorite way is, whenever I want to inspect any elements to know what HTML makes it up and how I can target it using web scraping, I just go to the object itself. So if I want to find out how to target this shop online in Nigeria, I just go to this object and right click on it and say inspect. So it's going to lead me straight up to the HTML where that shop online in Nigeria is. So you can just see it's landed me there. I can now see all the attributes and everything I need to know about this HTML. All right. So if I want to get the prices, like for example, this one, all I need to do is click on this element here and inspect it. And then it's going to land me on the place where I'm going to have. So you can see that this element called price is actually a div, all right, hidden inside a parent called ch3, h3, sorry, is a h3 tag, all right, and the class equals to price. So if I want to target this, all I just need to do is to take note of this. Okay, so it's a div tag, all right, and then class equals to PRC. So I probably am just even going to copy this. Let me just copy it and we're good. So I can now go to my beautiful soup and then I can now say, okay, you know what? Jumia soup dot, I want to select that element. So, or I want to set, so I could just use select, all right? And what do I want to select? I will now have to pass a selector inside this place. So like I told you, there are different kinds of selector, but what I want to use is the tag, all right? So I'm just going to go back to that place and then it's a div tag that has class equal to this, all right? So I'm just going to tell Python, hey, inside this soup that you just got, look for a div tag. Sorry, I have to put that in quotes. All right, so look for a div tag, all right? That what it does, the attributes, you put the attributes in what do you call it now? In a square brackets, all right? So the attributes would be this class equal to PRC. So when I tell Python to give me this and search for it, it will bring out all the div classes within the soup where the class equal to price. So you can see what it has done is it has scraped all the prices of all the items that are on this first page, all right? So I have my items prices. What if I want the items names? So I'm just going to close this. I'm going to come to the name of the product itself here. And then I will right click as usual and I'll say inspect so that it can land me on where the product name is, all right? So the place it lands me on, which is this highlighted place, is where the product name is. So I can always just expand this part of the tree and then I can see the product name here, all right? So in this case, it's a H3 tag that has class equal to name. So if I want to get this, I would just, and that's the thing about HTML, they're all repetitive processes with CSS. The moment I can get one class name and all that, it's usually repetitive. All the other products on the page will have to obey that because that's the only way the person that is building the site can use his CSS to target all of them at once. If not, he wants to punish himself or herself or themselves, right? So if I come and let me just, okay, let me create this here and I say Jumia soup, all right, dot select, and I say I want to select is a H3 tag again, that the properties of the tag, which is the class, is equal to name. When I run this, Jumia is, you can see all the tags that have the names of the items just populated for me, right? So I can now decide to say, you know what if I just want to get the text, just the text alone? All right, let me see if this works. No, there is no attributes dot text. Okay, what is that? What is that attributes? I think is if I want to get a text from a list, I think is the word. Okay, I'll get it. I'll get it. I'll get it. Let me see. Let me do this first. Okay, let me see my product names. I just want to play with this and see whether it works. So product name, run this. Okay, so let me see if I can do product name dot text. Can I? No, because I have a list. Okay, so I could use a for loop to get, oh yeah, okay, yeah. All right, so I'd have to use a for loop to get that text out. All right, so let me see. Okay, so let me just delete, I could just delete this so that I don't mess things up. Okay, Okay. So now I can, now that I have my prices and I have the product name, all right. I'm just remove this. Product names. Okay. If I want to script something else, maybe like the delivery method, the shipping method or something, I could always do that. And I could always get any other information that I want to get, but I think those two are good for now, right? So what I can do now is, let me see, okay. So what I can do now is I would just pick I would remove this div tags. Okay, and then I would now zip both of them into one file, or I could just pass the text alone into a data frame, or I could, there are a lot of things I could do with this, all right? A lot of things I could do with this. Let me see. Okay.
Can you build the data frame all in one line so that you've got the price and the description of each item when it
Okay.
when you print it out all as one item?
Yes, I can do that. I can do that. What I can do is this. Okay, there are two ways I can go. Let me just give it a go. Now, so let me call this see, okay, let me call this prices equal to this. So just run this. So this becomes prices variable. And then let me call this products. All right, so now this is products. Let me get the length. So length prices. Let's see how long it is. Okay, 48 items. And it should be the same for products. Not expect any. Okay, cool. Same length. Okay, so let me extract the text. Prices. Let me use, yes, please.
How come the prices and the product didn't print out to screen this time around when you ran it?
Because I've assigned a variable name to it. Yeah. So the moment I assign to a variable name,
it's only when you
print
write out the variable
unless,
that
yeah, you now say print product. So
can't you just write the product?
Yeah, you can write products. Yeah, since
like
you're
Jupyter Notebook.
on Jupyter Notebook. Yeah. So when I do this, it will now print. All right.
Oh, okay.
So, but the moment I assign it, while I'm assigning it, it doesn't. Yeah, it's not going to print. Okay.
Thank
so,
you.
Yeah, you're welcome. So what I'm going to do is, I'm going to, sorry.
No, that's.
Is it there now?
Ah, there you go.
Okay, yep. Great. So what I just did was to change, to subset this, right? And then get the text. Without this, just subsetting it will give us that long stuff with the tag. But when I use this text, it gives me just the price tag, which is what I was
just
looking
information.
For. Right. Okay. So this
so what was causing the problem earlier? What was making it
causing it?
If yes, what was making it through an error?
If I put prices.text, I'm going to get an error.
Yeah.
Why? Because it's a whole list.
Okay.
But if I bring out one part of the list, just one part of that list, and I'll request for the text, then I can get it.
So now if you would,
sorry. How come the for loop didn't work?
Now the for loop
Yeah.
is going to work. Yeah, the for loop didn't work because I didn't it didn't
So you
work
should have
because
put
I didn't
I for
subset.
I
Yeah,
dot text. You have been written I
exactly.
dot text for I in prices, right?
Exactly.
Did you try that?
So yeah, that's
Maybe
what I'm
the
going to do now. It's I dot text for I
for
in
I in
prices.
price.
So when I do that now, it's going to work. So when I call
Text.
text,
Yep.
But
yeah,
the text is not a function.
Yes, there's your data field with all of
yeah,
the,
it's a
all the
function. It's
prices.
the
Okay.
function here, but yeah, because it's a variable here. When I call it here, what Jupyter Notebook calls for me is the variable.
I thought we are not able, we're not supposed to assign, we're not supposed to use a function. Sorry, it's even an attribute self. Or is it,
Yes.
what is it called?
The thing is
Is
this.
there an attribute or what's
It's not that
name?
Python will not respond. It's just that it's bad practice, right? So what I did here, it's not that Python will not respond when I call it, because there's a text here and there's a text here. Python will only respond to the one which is a variable, because that's what you can call, all right? But it's bad practice. So I would look for another name to call this so that I can, you get it? So I probably am just going to call this price text. So that way, yeah. So it becomes I.text for I in prices. So for every price in this prices, just gets me the text. So now it can work. I am so sorry I took your time. I'm very, very sorry. I should have thought about this like, this is what sometimes makes some people say don't like programming, because sometimes one error just keeps you in the loop.
Okay.
Yeah. Go ahead, John.
Yes.
Well,
John, go ahead.
No, I had the same question about doing the loop, but that now you could take.
Yeah, what I have here is a list comprehension. So I could always do it this way.
Both the
Yeah, I could always
text
do it
and
this
the
way. I could,
description.
yeah, exactly. So I
And
could
then
do it like this,
combine.
prices text, and I could create a blank like this, John, right?
Yep.
Okay, then I would now do the for loop. So for I in prices, then I'd say prices texts dot append, and I'll say append I.
Okay.
And we'll be doing the same thing. John, you like this? You like this better, right?
Right.
John?
I see that, but then also it was the description.
Okay. All right. So for I in prices.
Before you started working on price, and so you can do that.
Okay. Okay, John, your line is breaking. I didn't really get what you said.
That's going to have the
I didn't really
description.
get you.
Okay.
I didn't really get you, John. If you could just help me repeat again. John,
Yeah.
can you hear me?
The earlier, even before you were doing the price.
Yes.
Is that any better?
It's better now.
Still
It's
nothing,
better.
huh?
It's better now. I could hear you.
That's better now?
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay.
Great. Great.
Earlier, before price.
Yes.
You were doing the description as well. Then
okay.
You're going to have the price and the description in one data field at that point.
Yes. So I'm going to do that right now. So I could just call this description, and I would same name as I've gotten from this website, and I'm going to run it. So yeah, so then I'm going to do the same thing I did here. I'm going to subscript. Let me see. Description 0 dot
What's the
text.
description?
Description is the product name. That's all of this. ITEL A33 plus, yeah. Then
Okay.
HW12 here, yeah.
That's
So I'm going to,
where you then had 48 of each of
yes,
the variables.
exactly.
Okay.
So now when I run this, let me see what I get. Okay, so you see I get the text. That's the ITEL A33, and that's the description. All right.
Right.
Great. So now I can now
This
do
was the
the same.
essence of this of wrangling.
The extent, the what?
What's the essence of this whole process? Like going
Okay,
through this
so this is
whole
it. Now,
stress.
one of the reasons why we go through this stress is that, for example, if I want to create a bot, all right, that monitors share price, for those people that trade Forex, you don't really want to sit down and keep monitoring your price movements per second. So all you need to do is just create a bot that scrapes maybe a crypto site or one of the sites that you want to monitor for checking for the price movement. So as soon as you would have already set your limits in your Python script to say, if value falls below this amount, trigger a sale, or just send me a mail or send me a notification or pop-up or something. So it can be as basic as that. When you start scraping a website like that, the moment it's the price fluctuation gets to that point, you don't need to sit in front of, because I have a lot of friends then who used to trade Forex, but because they have a day job and they have to sit in front of their bosses in the same cubicle on the same workstation, it becomes a bit tough monitoring your trade. So one of my friends lost a lot of money because that day he was with his boss on his desk. They had a 1 hour session. By the time he opened up his stuff, he had lost a lot of money. So since then, he just stopped trading Forex totally. And I'm like, you really don't need to stop trading completely. All you need to do is just create a bot that would monitor your trade. And once it gets to a particular point, just let it trigger an alarm. The alarm can be an email, the alarm can just be anything. And if you're very advanced and you study the next part of this web scraping, which is called scraping dynamic pages with Selenium, which is the second thing in this, the second library here. Once you get that, once you can use Selenium very well, you could set up a trade that would log in for you and actually halt that trade where it is, and you've set the points. So yeah, obviously you would meet some of this on unplanned, like if the site has a bot response, like what Walmart just did to us right now, you would need to have learned how to circumvent that. But just in case you don't want to go through all those stress, just program a bot that once you scrape and it gets to this very amount, like just say, okay, the trade value right now is $69, and that's your point of no return where you don't want that stuff to go below. Just trigger an alarm, send me a mail or something. Yeah, so that's one of the things you can do with this. Another thing you can do with this is if you're somebody who monitors maybe like weather, you can actually scrape like 3 or 4 different countries' weathers, like you travel a lot or something, and just have it in a dashboard, right? So all you need to do before you leave, just put in or just run the script, and if you just bring out all the places you need to consider their weather or even their time. Maybe you have like businesses in 300 different places and you want to know what the time is in all the 300 zones, like right now. A scraper like this can, all you just need to do is to scrape one of these websites that monitor time zones, and you can have your time zone all looking at you in just the run of a Python script. So that's just basically what we do with web scraping, is just to scrape information off HTML.
Can I use like all these flash sales can I use Jumia flash sale?
Yes.
Okay, treasure hunt. Can I use web scraping to get that item with that list price at that
You can.
period?
You can, but they are going to catch you. But you can, because what it will be doing, it will be sending requests. You know that price hunt is like an instant thing. You have to keep monitoring the page. So it will keep sending requests to say when, and it might eventually send more than 200. Well, okay, no, it shouldn't send 200 requests per minute. That's Jumia. Jumia has, well, with Jumia, you can do that. Yeah, you can. You can. They won't catch you. Since their limit is 200 requests per minute, come on. What you can do is just set like 2 requests per minute. Just check, okay, has it flashed? No, it doesn't. It hasn't flashed yet. You know, that flash, they allow it last for like 5 minutes. And then, for example, so John, what happens is this, like what this site does is that sometimes they have flash sales, which means that this Samsung Galaxy, for like 5-10 minutes, can actually be going for, instead of 119 grand, it can be going for like 40 grand or 30 grand. So she's trying to know, okay, so can we keep monitoring this in case it goes to that flash sale day, and then, you know, we're able to get this. And I'm like, yeah, we can do that. So we can scrape this very tag, because this is the tag that they're going to change to reflect that flash sale price. So we could just script this and then write a Python script to say, if this amount falls below 50, send me a mail or activate this, or even log into my profile. I wanted to show you how you can use Selenium to log into your profile, but this whole subscripting just took all of our time. But actually you can use this to log into your profile. The only time you have issues is that there are some sites that preempt you from doing that. So what they try to do is, when you try to log into your profile, there'll be a captcha code to say, are you human or are you a bot? Select trees or select roads or select, that's when your bot runs into a problem. But if your website doesn't request for captcha, like Jumia doesn't request for captcha when you're logging in, you can use a bot to log in, lock in the trade, and you wouldn't even know what has happened until you get a request for a debit alert on your phone to say, hey, you've been debited for this transaction. So that's it. Those are the nuances in web scraping. Now, there are Python libraries that can help you work around bots. Like there's one they call debt to bots, debt to capture. There's another one they call bot. The moment it starts getting to all of this, you now start questioning how ethical what you're doing is, because there's probably a reason why the website put those checks in place. So trying to attack the website in quotes with those libraries are actually hacker libraries, you know. So it would be like what you call a DDoS attack. Denial of service, that's DDoS, yeah.
Distributed denial of service.
Yeah, distributed denial of service. So that's it, because that's basically what a DDoS attack does. It keeps making